Meet the worst referee in NHL history. Some referees bring love to the game of ice hockey, but there are times when their decisions leave us scratching our heads in disbelief. However, among the many questionable calls and missed penalties over the years, there is one referee who stands out as the epitome of inconsistency and controversy. Yes, you have heard right. Today, I'm going to talk about some intriguing facts about the worst referee in NHL history. 1. Stephan OJ. Why is Stephan OJ referred to as the worst referee in NHL? The answer will shock you guys. Well, the answer is that Stephan OJ, also known as the worst referee in NHL history, has earned this title for his consistently poor decision-making, missed calls, and overall incompetence on the ice. Many fans, players, and coaches have voiced their frustration and anger toward him, citing his poor performance as a detriment to the game. One of the most infamous incidents involving Stephan OJ occurred during a playoff game between the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Philadelphia Flyers in 2012. With less than a minute left in regulation, Penguins forward Jordan Staal was tripped by a Flyers player, leading to a potential game-tying goal. However, OJ failed to call the penalty, and the Flyers went on to win the game and eliminate the Penguins from the playoffs. This incident was just one of many examples of OJ's poor refereeing skills. His track record was so bad that he was eventually fired from the NHL and banned from officiating any further games. His inability to make the correct calls not only affected the outcome of games, but also put players at risk for injury. Some of OJ's most mistakes include failing to call blatant penalties, making incorrect calls, and missing important plays altogether. This led to frustration among players and coaches who felt that the game was being unfairly officiated. Not only this, viewers, but many fans also expressed their anger and disappointment with his performances, leading to calls for his removal from the league. We can interpret the role of a referee in the NHL is crucial, as they are responsible for ensuring that the game is played fairly and safely. Moreover, OJ's poor performance also had a significant impact on the players, who had to deal with the consequences of his bad calls. Some players would often become frustrated and lose their focus due to the unfair officiating, leading to mistakes and missed opportunities. This not only affected their performance, but also the outcome of the game. In addition, he has received 20% at the worst reference vote from the players. 2. January/11/10. It is not a simple date. On this date, the most memorable incident occurred. You guys will be intrigued by knowing that on January 11th, 2010, the National Hockey League, NHL, witnessed one of the most controversial games in its history, thanks to referee Stephan OJ. Known for his questionable calls and inconsistent enforcement of the rules, Stephan OJ had already earned a reputation as one of the worst referees in the league, and it was nothing new. However, his performance during the game between the Montreal Canadiens and the Boston Bruins was truly awful. From the very beginning, it was clear that OJ was not on his game. He missed several blatant penalties, including a high stick to the face of Montreal's Thomas Plekanec, and seemed to be favoring the Bruins. As the game progressed, his mistakes only got worse. He failed to call a clear icing against Boston, which led to their first goal, and later waved off a Montreal goal for what appeared to be a phantom high stick. The crowd at the Bell Center in Montreal was incensed, and the players on both sides were visibly frustrated by OJ's poor performance. Even the television commentators were openly criticizing him, calling his calls inconsistent and mind-boggling. It was clear that OJ was having a terrible game, and his mistakes were having a major impact on the outcome. Furthermore, as the game went into overtime, tensions were high. Both teams were fighting hard for the win, and OJ's calls were becoming unpredictable. Finally, he made a call that would go down in NHL history as one of the worst ever. With just a few seconds left in overtime, Boston's Marc Savard scored what appeared to be the game-winning goal. How intriguing, right, viewers? However, OJ immediately waved it off, claiming that he had blown the whistle before the puck crossed the line. Replays showed that OJ's call was completely incorrect. The puck had crossed the line before he blew the whistle, and the goal should have counted. The Bruins were robbed of a victory, and the Canadiens were awarded a point they didn't deserve. Fans, players, and coaches alike were furious, and the NHL was forced to issue a public apology for OJ's poor performance. In the aftermath of the game, OJ was heavily criticized by fans and players alike. Many called for him to be fired, while others simply shook their heads in disbelief at his incompetence. The NHL vowed to do better in the future and took steps to improve the quality of its refereeing. In the end, the game between the Canadiens and the Bruins on January 11, 2010, will always be remembered as one of the worst officiated games in NHL history. And Stephan OJ will forever be known as the referee who made the call that robbed the Bruins of a victory and cemented his reputation as one of the worst referees in the league. 3. Alexander Burrows interview. Alexander Burrows is the most renowned hockey player. Alexander Burrows is a retired Canadian professional ice hockey player who spent the majority of his career with the Vancouver Canucks of the National Hockey League, NHL. During his time in the NHL, Burrows played in over 900 games, scored more than 200 goals, and accumulated over 400 penalty minutes in a recent interview with an NHL player. Pretty insane, right? Furthermore, Alexander Burrows spoke candidly about the worst referee he has encountered in his career. Burrows, who played in the NHL for 14 seasons and is now an assistant coach for the Montreal Canadiens, did not hold back in his assessment of this particular official. According to Burrows, the worst referee he has encountered is none other than Stephan OJ. OJ worked as an NHL referee for 13 seasons before retiring in 2013. Burrows had several run-ins with OJ during his time in the league, and he did not hesitate to call him out in the interview. Additionally, Burrows recalled one game in particular where OJ made a controversial call against him. The incident occurred during a game between the Vancouver Canucks and the Nashville Predators in January 2010. Burrows claims that OJ approached him before the game and told him that he was going to get him back for an incident that had occurred in a previous game. Burrows alleges that OJ made a call against him that was not warranted to make good on his promise. The call resulted in a penalty against Burrows, which ultimately led to a Nashville goal. The incident sparked controversy, and Burrows was fined $2,500 by the league for criticizing OJ's performance after the game. In the interview, Burrows did not mince words when discussing OJ's abilities as a referee. He criticized his judgment and claimed that he had a personal vendetta against him. Burrows also spoke about how difficult it was to play against certain officials who had reputations for making bad calls or being inconsistent. Burrows' comments about OJ have reignited debate about the role of referees in the NHL. Referees are tasked with enforcing the rules of the game and ensuring that the players are safe on the ice. However, they are also subject to criticism and scrutiny from players, coaches, and fans. Some argued that referees are an essential part of the game and that their decisions must be respected. Others believe that referees should be held accountable for their mistakes and that there should be greater transparency in the officiating process. Regardless of one's opinion on the matter, it is clear that referees play a crucial role in the NHL. Their decisions can have a significant impact on the outcome of a game, and their abilities and judgment are constantly being evaluated by players, coaches, and fans alike. Moreover, as for Burrows, his comments about OJ are a reminder of the intense emotions that can arise in professional sports. While it is understandable that players may become frustrated with referees from time to time, it is important to remember that sportsmanship and respect for the game should always be a priority. Do you agree with this statement? Comment below. 4. Tim Peele. Tim Peele. Well, is a former NHL referee who was known for his long and distinguished career in the National Hockey League. During his time in the NHL, Peele officiated over 1,300 regular season games and 90 playoff games. He was also selected to work in 2 NHL All-Star games and the Winter Classic in 2010. His consistency is basically in calling penalties, and his knowledge of the rules of the game was respected by players, coaches, and fans alike. However, despite his long and successful career, Peele's name became synonymous with controversy in March 2021 when he was caught on a live microphone making a comment that many interpreted as biased officiating. During a game between the Nashville Predators and the Detroit Red Wings, Peele was caught on a hot mix saying, "It wasn't much, but I wanted to get a farking penalty against Nashville early in the game." This comment was widely criticized by fans and players, and the NHL swiftly took action. The day after the incident, Peele was informed that he would no longer be officiating NHL games. It was very shocking. The NHL released a statement saying that nothing is more important than ensuring the integrity of our game, and that Peele's comment was inconsistent with the high standard we expect from our officials, and not representative of the way NHL officials should conduct themselves on the ice. The incident sparked a heated debate among hockey fans and experts about the role of referees in the game, and the importance of fair and unbiased officiating. Some argued that Peele's comment was indicative of a larger problem in the NHL, where referees are sometimes perceived to be favoring one team over the other. Others pointed out that referees are human and make mistakes, and that Peele's comment should not be taken as evidence of systemic bias. However, his legacy is one of fairness, consistency, and integrity, and his contributions to the game of hockey will not be forgotten. Hope you liked the video. Keep checking back for more videos. Thank you.